to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. And many more. And many more. And many more. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you down here, Pastor Ben. I hope that everybody is having a great and wonderful day. It is Get Free Friday. On yesterday, I received some news, and I believe I would say it's connected to the health portion of what we do here. One of my friends passed away. Very, very sad. Um, Still processing it, but I wanted to share um, what happened because I think it's important to where we are looking at for the rest of the year and also into the new year. That friend in his early 40s, he was younger than me, passed away from a new strand of COVID. Let me say that again. Early 40s, passed away from a new strand of COVID coming out of Texas. Um, he apparently was trying to fight it in the way that people have been fighting COVID, and he did not make it through that process. I don't want to go into the details, but he was hospitalized once he was found after he was trying to fight it with his own methods. And then he passed away a couple of days later. So rest in power to my friend Zavi. He will be missed. He was a genuinely kind person. He's probably one of the kindest people you would have ever wanted to meet. Very tall. We called him a gentle giant, very humorous. He could make you belly laugh for hours. And he is no longer with us. So I do want to caution people and I do want to encourage people to continue to mask, especially in crowded spaces, public spaces. I know for my family, we have been limiting how much eating out we do as these colder months start rolling in. But try to do all in your power to keep yourself protected because our government has pretty much forsaken its duty to us as the American people to keep us informed on things like infectious diseases and their spread and where they are and where outbreaks and things of that nature are happening. So you cannot right now rely on your government to inform you, so you're going to have to go to um, your county's health sites. You're going to have to go to your state's health sites. Unfortunately, in some of those cases, they're not even reporting on things like COVID outbreaks. And as I said, this was a new strand of COVID that took my friend out. So, that being said, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're doing those hygienic things that did work and continue to work. Washing your hands. I still sanitize and spray down anything I'm bringing into my house from another space, including my groceries. I still do that. When I come into contact with people that I don't know, somebody that's maybe I've shaken hands with or something like that, I am washing my hands or I'm using hand sanitizer. I keep a bottle of hand sanitizer on me and with me. So just continue to do the things hygienic wise that you know you can do during this time. If you stop wearing masks, I would suggest that you mask up if you're going to be going to things like concerts and crowded events and all of that. Try to make sure that those things are in place. Huh. I wish these glasses did come from the Dollar Tree. They cost a pretty penny. Um, but yeah, so think about that. I know that wasn't necessarily how I wanted to start this broadcast, but I felt it imperative to say before we got started on our readings for today. So we are looking at two books, Moving Beyond Broke, The Power of Perseverance in Personal Finance, and Live Nourished, Making Peace with Food, Banishing Body Shame, and Reclaim Your Joy. All right. So we're looking at health today and wealth today. Those are two books that we're reading from. And as we are starting this new season, season 17, for those of you who are with us for the first time, we've been doing this for 17 seasons. All right. How to invest. We're going to be adding this book in because, and I love the fact that it says $50 to $5,000 because some people think, well, I put aside $50, but I don't know what to do with it. We're going to look at what to do with that $50. Okay. So let's start with Live Nourished. Let's go to our health portion for today. We're starting chapter 4. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. We're starting chapter 4 and we're looking at elitism of health and wellness. Now, I have had this conversation with people in private because I know how sensitive people can be when it comes to health and fitness topics. But the fact that she has taken the time to write an entire chapter on the elitism in health and wellness spaces makes my soul sing because I don't really see people openly talking about this. And the people that sometimes you mention this to, they get offensive, they get defended. I mean, well, not defended, they get offended when you bring this up, when there's certain things you notice in these spaces. Now, my husband is a big health and wellness person, but we have a lot of our things that he uses is at our home. We have a home gym. So during the pandemic, before the pandemic, he was going to a membership gym, one of those that had the key card and open 24/7, all of those jams. Me, I was occasionally going, but because I have trauma around those kinds of spaces, I did not want to necessarily go into a space. So I still do my cardio, I do Pilates, I do some running sometimes, a little bit of jogging, stretching, those kinds of things. More so of the strength training versus weight training. Okay. But during the pandemic, everybody had to shift, right? Because things were initially closed down, shut down. And so when we made that shift, we made the shift from a membership gym to building out space in our home for him to work out. All right. So we don't typically have these kinds of issues anymore because of that change in that shift. However, there are lots of health and fitness groups that we are a part of through social media. And in those groups, there is a lot of elitism going on. And so I don't comment often. I'm in the groups, but I don't comment often because I don't want to get attacked. I'm just being honest with you. I'm like, I don't have time to be getting attacked if I ask a question or going back and forth in an argument with somebody all day on social media. I have money to make and I have jobs, plural, to attend to. So I'm interested to see what she's going to say here about elitism in health and wellness and see if she points out anything that I too have noticed. She quotes Fariha Roisin, Over 450 million Indians live under the poverty line, yet wellness, particularly yoga, is a multi-billion-dollar industry extracted from our culture. Ooh, child. And to that I say, welcome to the Black American Club. Because how many things have been extracted from Black people that they're not making any money from? And lots of Black people are below the poverty line. See how that works? So it's not just a Black American issue, it's a poverty issue. All right. She just kind of she just swung right there. Let's get some things straight. What really is wellness? Is it a yoga retreat at a bungalow in Costa Rica? Is it blue spirulina that you can put in your smoothie? Is it a $75 candle that smells like Gwyneth Paltrow? Frankly, the definition of wellness can vary drastically depending on who you ask. The National Wellness Institute, an organization with the goal of driving inclusive and optimal wellness for everyone within their environment, defines wellness as, quote, an active process through which people become aware of and make choices toward a more successful existence. But this leads to more questions like, how do we define a more successful existence? The openness of that phrase makes it sound like wellness could include a multitude of different things, including career choices, dating modes, or being a good parent. But that's not the successful existence wellness is referring to. Instead, wellness is often used as a synonym for health, and trust me, they are not the same thing. Wellness and diet culture often go hand in hand. They both stem from a place of desired perfection. From a young age, we are taught to think that if we have access to certain products and a certain lifestyle, we will have optimal health. The idea of wellness plays on our desire to show that if we try hard enough and spend enough money, if we can go above and beyond, we can be exceptional in terms of health. Because it is intertwined with diet culture, wellness therefore is rooted in the desire to obtain a thin, eurocentric ideal at all costs. This, in turn, can lead to a wide variety of negative outcomes, including causing non-Eurocentric identities to feel the need to conform or alter their cultural dishes and sometimes their bodies. Many cultures are told their food is not good enough. Their bodies are not good enough. They are not good enough. And just so we're clear here, wellness is not the same as being healthy. According to the World Health Organization, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So do you want to be well, or do you want to be in good health? Let me point out that each individual's health is unique and therefore different. We can aspire to physical health, meaning increasing activity to maintain or strengthen our bones, our muscles, and our joints. And Lord knows, if you're a woman in your 40s going through perimenopause, you know the power of strengthening your muscles and your joints. We can aspire to mental health by working on our stress levels. For our social well-being, we can try to balance our social and personal lives. These measures fall under the scope of health. And health serves as a currency in society, but not for the reasons one might think. Health is often associated with morality, and we uphold individuals who seem as though they are doing everything in their power to be as healthy as possible. So many people feel the need to prove their health status. That may look like constantly posing gym selfies or constantly posing with the healthy foods they're eating daily. We congratulate these individuals on making health a priority, even though we don't know if they're exercising unsafely or excessively. We don't know about the exact food someone is eating, if they are eating enough or practicing disordered eating habits. We can't tell that from a selfie. But we don't seem to care about those details because we see a thin body or someone who is actively working toward a thin body. Thanks to diet culture, we say that we uphold and care about health, but what we're really upholding is beauty standards. The only reason we care about what someone is or isn't doing is because of what they may look like. Wellness aims to enhance our health status. So that soul cycle class that you might be engaged in is enhancing your physical health. Going on a yoga retreat might be enhancing your physical and mental health. And I guess somewhere in this spectrum, that $75 candle could also be described as enhancing your health. But wellness and health are inextricably entwined in our minds, making the idea of health an age-old concept that simply means soundness of body and mind, something of a hot topic. With the onset of wellness, we've made health into a kind of status symbol, a way of keeping up with the Joneses. Wellness is targeted to a group of individuals who are looking beyond mainstream Western medicine and beyond mainstream health. Now, don't get me wrong, I love some bougie things just as much as the next person. I was a soul cycle fanatic years ago, the author says, riding and tapping it back in a dark room with a model-esque instructor at 6 a.m. I love those overpriced $15 green fresh pressed juices because they are indeed refreshing and tasty. So really, this is not a knock on anyone who participates in wellness culture. But in actuality, are certain foods and products really superior for your health? Or are they just appealing because they're expensive and not easily accessible for everyone? Because here's the thing, wellness attracts the elite, and it can be so easy to fall into the idea of wanting to be a part of this exclusive club. And it is indeed selective. For example, in 2021, tickets for In Goop Health, a health and wellness summit, had a $1,000 starting price. When it comes to wellness, the fact that it is not readily available to the masses seems to heighten its appeal. After all, why would you want something everyone can afford? If anyone can afford a protein powder, is it really exclusive? Could the product still be considered superior? If anyone can afford it, it's not as attractive for many, and that's just part of how the wellness industry operates. Wellness is like that exclusive club in New York City or Miami where you see a line out the door and everyone in that line looks like a model. You don't even know what's going on inside, but all those incredibly cool people want inside, so it must be great, right? Some people are being let in and others are being turned away, which makes it more enticing. You want that elite access too. But when the bouncer finally lets you in, turns out there's actually nothing all that special going on in there. And the drinks and the food are simply overpriced. Like that protein powder that anyone can buy, that's pretty much exactly the same as the one sold exclusively by a wellness influencer. But it doesn't come in a pretty package or with a cool name attached. So, why do influencers and ads keep on pushing these exclusive products? Because there is some serious money to be made there. The global wellness market has an estimated worth of more than $1.5 trillion dollars and growing. This goes well beyond eating fruits and vegetables. More than a third of consumers around the world report that they probably or definitely plan to increase spending on nutrition apps, diet programs, juice cleanses, and subscription food services over the next year. The laws of supply and demand apply in the wellness industry as they do everywhere else. You start with a want, you raise the price, thus making the product more exclusive, and eventually the want becomes a need. Throw in a couple of influencers and celebrities claiming the formula works, and you've got yourself a sought after product. Add all those products together, and you've got yourself an expensive and exclusive lifestyle. We should remember that on social media, not everything is what it seems. Social media is, in a way, the presentation of a fantasy. We like to peek into other people's lives and see how they are traveling or eating, exercising, and living. Many of us are visual creatures and like to look at aesthetically pretty pictures and videos. This is why there are so many filters available and why so many people feel like they have to look a certain way in order to be presentable. This is also why we can't always trust what we're seeing on social media because many people are carefully curating their feeds to give you an impression of them that's not totally accurate. This can hold true for the way someone presents what they're eating. Most of the foods that are shown are nutrient dense items that they advertise and tell us that they eat in order to look and feel the way they do. Even though many of these foods are nutrient dense, some of the habits and the way they're being eaten can be considered disordered. Skipping meals, cutting out food groups, exercising excessively, and compulsively checking labels and the scale are all examples. Of course, we have a right to know what is in our food and if it contains ingredients that could be harmful, but we need to pay attention to how and where we are getting that information. We should be listening to food scientists and engineers who are knowledgeable and have studied and immersed themselves in these topics. But because so much content on social media is based on aesthetics and trends, it is often hard to find credible resources and credible content creators. Many products and lifestyle changes that are popular are based upon putting foods in a hierarchy. We have our good foods that are given the halo of approval by folks in the wellness community and are usually described as pure or natural. One way to describe this natural category is by dubbing it clean. Scrolling through social media, you constantly see posts about clean recipes, clean meals, clean foods. You get the idea. But in actuality, what does clean actually mean? And we'll talk about that on next time. All right. So give me your thoughts. What do you think about this idea that wellness becomes a form of elitism because it becomes centered around who has the money to buy the items? As she said, health is about physical, mental, spiritual. I would add spiritual in there. So it's about more than just your physical body, health. And wellness is more about the aesthetics. It can enhance your health, but it is not, in fact, health. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right, we're moving to the second book now. And she's going to talk to us about incremental saving. Incremental saving. And let's see. All right, it is a short section. So we should be able to get through this in the next few minutes. Incremental saving is a superpower for financial security. Last time she talked to us about the power of a $20 bill and starting your savings by seeing if you can put $20 aside, and then building that into a small cash emergency, short-term emergency, medium-term emergency, long-term emergency. The power of incremental saving doesn't lie only in its ability to protect you from financial emergencies. It also serves as the foundation for strategically saving for specific future expenses. In personal finance, you will often hear this method referred to as sinking funds. Sinking funds allow you to be proactive and set savings aside for a specific purpose and time frame, helping you prepare in advance for anticipated expenses and goals. My mom encouraged me to save because she knew the benefits of starting small and how my savings could grow over time. But there was no real plan for the money besides saving for a rainy day. Sinking funds put a purpose behind your saving. With sinking funds, you have the option to create objectives for your money and break them down into tangible goals. It doesn't matter if it's something as large as the down payment for a home, a dream vacation, or something as small as concert tickets or a new pair of shoes. Life has thrown a few challenges my way in the last couple decades that have taught me a valuable lesson about financial preparedness. It was during those times that I felt the weight of missed opportunities the most. We've all been there, looking back at our past selves and regretting having spent money that we could have saved. Rather than succumbing to regret, I decided to finally take my mom's advice and realize that I still had time to make a difference. Good morning. Sure, I may have missed out on some opportunities in the past, but it's always better late than never. Consider this perspective. Starting late comes with certain advantages. You now have the wisdom and experience to make informed decisions and avoid traps that tripped you up before. Yes, you may have missed out on a few opportunities, but that's the thing about incremental saving. It takes the pressure off saving money and makes it less of a race against the clock because it's not about who's the fastest or who started the earliest. It's about consistency and progress, allowing you to set your own pace and focus on your own journey rather than the destination. Today, the writer says, as a single mom of two teens, incremental saving is our family's superpower for achieving the bigger goal. Every few months, my sons and I sit down together and map out our dreams for the years. Then we look at the costs, break them down into small monthly savings actions, and get excited for what's to come. They know flying out to see family anytime it's needed is a priority, so that's an ongoing dream for us. Our other big dreams look like new football equipment in the fall, traveling once a year with their friends to celebrate their birthday, saving for a small used car for my oldest son as he approaches driving age, and setting funds aside for a big cross country road trip that we've been dreaming about as a family for years. I still love to spend money on hanging out with my friends. There will always be room for these things in our financial picture. Now, the other thing, as I was looking at this and thinking about small term savings, right? I'm also thinking about the fact that because of who we have in office right now, at least for the next 2 years, we'll see what happens if they ever get to a place where they can file an impeachment. But just think for the next 2 to 4 years, the economy is going to have some fluctuation simply because of who's running the country. When you think about the added tariffs, right, that Americans are getting the cost for some reason, people have not figured that out yet. But as things begin to continue to increase under this administration, because we are the ones picking up the tab, right? I can't always say, I'm going to save this because I know the price next year is going to be about the same. Right now, we don't know that. We don't know that. I'll give you an example. Last week or the week before last, I went grocery shopping and I bought a container of um, laundry, whatever, the laundry detergent. That container was $16.99 when I bought it. $16.99. 2 weeks later, I go back. That same container was $28.99. Not $17.99, not $19.99. $28.99. That's almost a double jump in the price. That's crazy. So I'm also reading this with the lens and keeping in mind that as you are saving, you can't necessarily guarantee in the next 4 years that what you're saving for, you're going to be able to afford it. It's almost like you have to save, but then also keep in mind that you need a cushion in there. So whatever you think the price is now, add some more percentage and put that in your savings as well, because the price may change that much. And you can kind of look at what the feds are saying in terms of like interest rates and stuff like that to maybe gauge how much more you need to be adding to your savings. Because what you're saving for now, thinking that, even especially if it's a long-term goal, thinking that 5 years from now you're still going to be able to afford it with what you put away might not be the case. So I would say make sure you're padding your savings a little bit more right now because of the fluctuations. that are happening. All right. Next session, we're going to talk about capable, challenging, and creative. How to be doing what is capable, meeting your challenges, and finding the creativity in getting your savings goals completed. That's what we're going to start on next week. All right. This is our reading for today. If you're just coming in, I'll show you the first book we talked about. That was Live Nourished, Make Peace with Food, Banish Body Shame, and Reclaim Joy. Today we began a conversation on elitism in the health and wellness space. And then if you just came in, you heard us reading from Moving Beyond Broke, The Power of Perseverance in Personal Finance. All right. Um, I'm going to bring on my talkback guest. Let's see. Let's make sure I can do it. Oh, it's giving me troubles again. Let's try again. All right. I have sent you the talkback link. So, questions for you. Questions for you. What do you all think about the exercise, health, and wellness industry? Give me your thoughts on the health and wellness industry. She made a point of saying that wellness industry has become elitist. That she mentioned something about putting your food in hierarchies, trying to say that certain foods are better than others. She mentioned that as a part of the wellness industry. She also mentioned the exorbitant price of things that relatively have the same effect or same value, but because it is sponsored by a celebrity and it's an exorbitant price, people tend to see those things as better or more effective. What are your thoughts on that? Drop your thoughts in our comment section. Let us know what you think about the health and wellness industry. And by the way, these comments do disappear after our live show. They don't stick around anymore. They used to stick around. So let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are. Good morning. Trying to see if our guest has been added yet. Good morning.
Hello, the volume is low.
All right, I'll try to talk a little bit. I'll try to talk a little bit louder. Every time you come on, every time it connects people, it turns my volume down. It's,
Yeah, I can hear you much better right now.
okay, I'm bringing my phone closer, so hopefully that will help everyone. I cannot see you again. I can see you
Hmm.
after these broadcasts. After they process, I can see you, but when I'm talking to you now, I can't see you at all. But I can hear you.
Okay, okay.
So give us your insights. What do you
Um,
think about this health versus wellness idea?
it's a scam. It's a big money making scam. We've been programmed, as you say, eurocentric look.
Mm-hmm.
We've been programmed to believe that that's being healthy
Okay.
when it has really nothing to do with health. It's just a look.
It's just a look. Okay.
Yeah. So listen, I know people that were big. When I
Big.
say
When I say
big, they were
big, they were
big,
big
and they were
and they were
healthy.
healthy.
Mm-hmm.
They had no sicknesses, no problems, no nothing. And they were healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I've known people that were real small and had health issues.
I will say I used to be, and when people say just because you're thin doesn't mean you're well, I can personally identify with that because I am
Hmm.
5'9", and when I went off to college, I was 5'9", 105 pounds. I was skinny, but I was definitely malnourished going off to college. And I was a sickly child. Like, I participated in sports and things like that. I was very good at it, but I had juvenile diabetes. Um, I would get sick a lot of times. I suffered from migraine headaches a lot. Um, Now, I would definitely say I'm not skinny anymore. I'm not obese, but I'm not skinny. Um, and this is probably the healthiest I felt in a long time, just in my body. I was dealing with at one point, it's called non-anemic iron deficiency, but that had to do more with um, perimenopause and stuff like that. But I am no longer dealing with that. And so this is the first time I can honestly say in my nearing 50 years of life, this is the first time I've actually felt really soundly healthy. I'm not having migraines, I'm not experiencing the iron deficiency, and I am not thin, but I feel great. Um, my I do my yearly checkups and all of that. I try to stay on schedule and regimen with my appointments as a woman, and this is probably the best I've felt in my entire life when it comes to health, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all of those pieces. Um, but I'm not thin. And I
Yeah.
was driving the other day and I was like thinking to myself, I was like, when I was thinner, right? And I had the style or the look, I was not feeling good in my body a lot of times. And so people people look on you or look on the person and think, "Oh, because they're thin, they have it together health-wise." And I did not. And most of my friends knew I did not. Like, it wasn't like I was hiding being unwell or not feeling well, but it was definitely a thing where I could look back. I can look back at my old photos and see how rail thin I was and stylish I was, but I was not healthy. I was not healthy. And now, I mean, I'm still somewhat stylish. I go for comfort right now more so than anything else. Comfort is my style right now. If it's comfortable, I'm going to wear it. But I definitely feel differently overall in my body. Um, I'm not waking up feeling like my head is full of cotton. I even used to have lots of seasonal sinus issues. I don't have any of that right now. I haven't had a sinus issue, no runny noses, no scratchy eyes. And I mean, I'm in Maryland, so it's not like we have perfect weather here either. We get things like pollen and all of that, but I haven't had any kinds of those issues. And it really started with me saying I want to get healthy versus I want to look aesthetically good. I started with that. I need to get my internal self together, dealing with the non-anemic iron deficiency. I need to get my internal self together. I need to get blood tests. I need to figure out what's going on there. Is my blood work okay? Is my blood work good? I got some mineral testing done. What are my mineral levels looking like? And then what kind of treatment plan do I need to get on to get my mineral levels together? Once I started doing those things, dealing with my gut health, what kind of probiotics or prebiotics do I need to be taking so I can start working on my gut health? Once I started doing those things, I started to feel my health began to improve overall. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Working
well,
from the
that's it.
inside out.
One thing about your body, It lets you know if something's wrong, if something's not right, and it lets you know when the adjustment is made. Your body is constantly sending you signals.
Yeah.
So it's more important to feel good and your body being healthy than it is to look like what people say is healthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And me, listen. While I'm small, I've always been small. I know ways to lose weight because in high school I was on the wrestling team, and sometimes I had to, when they wanted me to drop down,
Down to a low weight class that I was at.
I had to lose the weight. And sometimes we're talking about 5, 10 pounds
Mm-hmm.
that I might have about a week to get rid of, and it wasn't hard. Some of the most important things is what time you eat,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
how much you eat. Things like that are very important. If you eat late at night, church folk,
Mm.
let's go with church folk.
I'm gonna just sit right here.
What what is what is one of the first things they do when they get out of service late at night? They go to a restaurant.
Now you know there's something interesting about that though. Um, Depending on what kind of reformation you come out of, some of them go eat after service, which sometimes you might be getting out 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. But in some other reformations, they would serve dinner before the service.
Hmm.
I was like, this is smart. They knew you were
Yeah.
gonna come. They knew you were gonna come to church. They knew you were gonna be like, I'm picking up my kids. I'm getting off work. I've got to go to service, but I also got to feed the children, right? Or I got to feed my family. So what I noticed, this was like, I would say early 2000s. I noticed some reformations moved to serving dinner between like 5 and 6:30 or 5 and 7 right before the service. Like
Hmm.
it wasn't my reformation, mind you. But I would be invited to, attend some of my other friends fellowships, and that was the main thing I noticed is that they actually fed people between 5 and 7, and then the service started, and then when you went home you weren't hungry, and you weren't looking for food, you weren't trying to go find food because you had this whole extended time where your body was not eating. that was to
Hmm.
me that was to me like logical but also brilliant, because you knew people were going to need to find food, you knew people were going to want to feed their children, and so it kind of took away the whole need of, well, I can't come to the service because I got to go do X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, we're serving. You can eat with us. You can commune. You can get to know the people that you're going to be in service with. And then we have service, and then we go home. And the other part of that
Hmm.
was, how long is the service? Because in other
Yeah.
reformations, your service is an hour, hour and a half. In black churches, your
Hmm.
service is at minimum 2 hours and could go longer.
Minimum.
So I think over the
Yeah.
years too, I think people have gotten better with understanding family dynamics and people needing sustenance for their bodies. Um, when we were doing service in person, we had a little snack area and drink area. And I did not mind if people said, I need to get water or I need to get some hot cocoa, especially in the winter months. and we provided those things and let people partake during the sermon. Because what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, do you think God is offended that somebody's drinking water while you preaching? What are we doing?
Nope.
So we were not on that time at all. That's probably one of the most non-traditional things we did in our in-person services. We were not on that kind of religious time. Let me read some comments here.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie and Co says, "I can barely hear you." Okay, we hopefully we corrected that, and hopefully you can hear us. Thin is overrated. I agree. It's one thing if you
Mm-hmm.
are naturally thin, if it's, part of your genetics, that's one thing. I know part of my genetics is neither side of my family is rail thin. Some of them are tall, they're tall, and then some of them are where I would say like the clumps on the other side of my family. So I was a kind of a mixture genetically of both sides of my family. They might have been called what people call big boned. That's one side of my family. The other side of my family is tall, but they're more lean and tall than they are wide. The other side of my family is tall, big, and wide. So I knew I was gonna wind up somewhere in between there. So yeah, unless it's a part of your genetics, this notion of trying to get to super 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 thin can be unhealthy for a lot of people. She also says, Leslie and Co says, often women are told they have to look a certain way. The shame associated with that has to be left behind to embrace health. That's a very powerful statement. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And not only and when you say they're told they have to look a certain way, I'm going to tell you, it's not just men saying you have to look a certain way. It's also sometimes the pressure that women put on each other to look a certain kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I've had pressure from both sides. So nobody gets a pass when it comes to me. I've also had, and Pastor Ben, you probably are can attest to this. In the black community, if you are too thin, right? Because I spent many years in a thin, unhealthy body. And people would look at me and be like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
what is wrong with you? I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm thin. I get it. I'm unhealthy. But your saying that in that way is also not helpful to somebody who knows they're unhealthy and they need to get healthy. There were many people willing to tell me that I looked like a crackhead.
Mm.
They were willing to tell me that. There weren't a lot of people saying, here's how you get healthy. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't offering the how to. They spent a lot of time on the criticism part. So we also have to be mindful in that. A lot of people talk about fat phobia, right? Of people shaming people because they're fat. But I also experienced people shaming me because I was thin.
Mm-hmm.
And again, referring to somebody who's thin as drug addicted is not helpful either. It's like, again,
Nope.
you're attaching an addiction or a vice to somebody, and I wasn't doing any of that. And so that was not cool either, to tell me that or to insinuate that. Um, and so yeah, it's the judgment. It's the judgment. They think they are helping you, but what you could have helped me with was to say, "Baby, are you hungry?" Because many times I was just hungry. We didn't have food. All right. I was in a food insecure part of my life, which is why what's happening with SNAP is really making me irate. But I'm trying to keep my cool. I was in a food insecure part of life. I knew that when I went to college, I was underweight and malnourished. Nobody had to tell me that. Nobody had to tell me that. I knew. I know where I came from. I came from the hood. and I was hungry. Okay, when I got to college, I barely got to college. I didn't have a meal plan because I was barely there as it was with the little bit of money that I had and the hope and the dreams of my ancestors. So guess what? Thankfully, I connected with other college students who recognized this girl is hungry. She's hungry. She doesn't know how to cook. Two bad things going together at one time. So guess what? They did their best. They tried to teach me how to cook, but they also let me participate in the potlucks and make sure that I didn't starve. So I had community in college. I had mutual aid help from my friends in college. They did the cooking. They told me you bring the silverware and the ice because you can't cook. All right. And they made sure that I didn't starve. Because before then, I was eating ramen noodles because I couldn't cook. All right. And so I am very thankful. Some of those women are still a part of my life today. Thankful for them. Um, but yeah, telling people just um, lopping a whole lot of judgment towards people in either capacity is not helpful. What can you tell me that is helpful for me? And and many people will tell you growing up, I used to be checking my body all the time because I was like, I need to gain weight. I mean, if you grow up in black culture and you're a thin black girl and you have no booty, you can forget it. So yeah, the body image issues, the body image issues were definitely there. And I was like, I need to gain weight. I'm thin. I don't have the what do they call it? The Coke bottle shape. So don't just think that fat phobia is an issue. People has issues with people who are too thin as well. Let me read some comments here.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my favorite editing friend. Cynthia says, "Hi Shantae, so glad to be able to listen in today. Your messages are always great. Sound issues keep going in and out. Okay, I sound far away. Hopefully, okay. Guess sounds clear, but with an echo and a loud beep. Okay, thank you, Cynthia, for letting us know." Leslie says, "Whether they say it or not, the judgment is there in our minds after someone says mean things. Yes, and sometimes you gotta barrel your way through all of that." I can relate, Cynthia says. "My mom believed I was bulimic, but I was just hungry." Yes, ma'am. In college without money or food on my own, my roommate would bring me PBJs from the cafeteria, which saved my life. Yes. Shout out to good friends. Let me tell you, shout out to good friends. Shout out to your college buddies that step in and save your life and pay attention. And that was a pivotal point in my life for helping me to understand the power of community away from home. Community away from home. And my husband, who was not my husband at the time, he was very, very pivotal in helping young college students like myself. Now, we didn't know we would be married in the process of all that, but he was pivotal in helping us to have resources. He was pivotal in helping us get to places that we needed to get to. It was a group of us, and yeah, shout out to the college friends that care. LOL, the iced tea is the beginner dish. Wow. Someone has to tell you that you are beautiful the way you are. Yes. Now I will say this. My family was not the one that was um telling me things about myself. Like my family accepted me. My family poured into me, which is helpful. But definitely heard the messages. High school, community, people in my community. I was often called toothpick because I was a toothpick. So having family kind of undergird me and accept me for who I was good. But it did not it did not stop the fact that there were other voices, but I did have family that could counteract some of the stuff that was coming at me. So yes, that does matter. Having family that accepted me the way that I was, even though I was hearing these inappropriate things about myself, that was helpful. And I know that sometimes people get it from their family, so that makes it even more difficult to work on your personal self and your personal image. La Pacina says, La Poet, La Poeta China, excuse me, says, as an adult, already in my career, had a normal weight, and then my mom called me fat. For the rest of my life, she called me fat and said my hair looked bad whenever I wore it natural or curly. Crazy. Yeah. And so, depending on where those voices are coming from, depending on where the judgment is coming from, right? It can seriously affect us. I had a little bit of buffer because I had family that accepted me for who I was. I had family that pushed me creatively. I had family that said, hey, we recognize this gift, this skill, this talent, whatever you want to do, because I was multi talented growing up. I could sing, I could dance, I could draw. I didn't start playing music by ear until later in life, but whatever talent or skill that I had, they were pushing me. We weren't a super wealthy family, but people would pool their funds together and help me buy things, get supplies, take classes, whatever it was. I had a driving force of support with family. Everybody doesn't have that. And so I am thankful and I'm grateful for that. But yes, even with the support of family, okay, even with the support of family, you can have people that are still trying to come at you with negativity. And I didn't forget those things. I just knew that they weren't the sum of my personality. They weren't the sum of my existence. They weren't the sum of who I was. But it still didn't stop them from saying those things to me, right? But I was able to separate what people thought about me from what I knew myself to be. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that we need to instill in young people today. You cannot control what how people see you. You can't. Maybe they'll change their views about you, maybe they won't. But it's important for you to know how you see yourself, and it's important for you to accept yourself. People may not ever accept you. They may not ever like you. I'm sure right now somebody is going to be upset about this topic that I'm talking about today. But you have to be okay with people not seeing you as you see yourself. Let me say that one more time. You have to be okay with people not seeing you as you see yourself. But your self view is the most important view. And I was honest enough with myself to say, I'm thin. I might look cute to some people because I'm thin, but I am unhealthy and I need to gain some weight in a healthy way. I need to get my nutrition together. Um, and so that's something I've been working on my whole life, is making sure that my nutrition gets better, that my health gets better, because I had been ill for a long time. I have been dealing with chronic illnesses for a long time. And I'm at a space in my life right now where I feel amazing. I feel great. I feel incredible. And I am not thin. And I'm not trying to be. All right. Um, Let me see here. Um, wow, every woman here the same experience. Isn't that something? La Poeta China says, after a gap year, I decided to go to an HBCU, and that was life changing. My hair was finally accepted, but never fully felt black, Hispanic enough. I found love and acceptance through God. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The lowering of the confidence makes the label stick. Ooh. Mm. See, Leslie, you diving in there. People are trying to lower your confidence by the labeling of you. Wow. That's a powerful statement. La Poeta China says, yes, you can flip over backwards to please people and they will still find fault with you. Because listen, A person who inherently doesn't like you is not going to move from that position unless some miraculous thing happens to change their mind.
Right.
I once had somebody say, they came up to me, and I'm glad they were honest. They came up to me and they said, there's something about you that I don't like, and I don't know why. I am so glad they were honest about it, because I was like, great. I can't even fault you for that statement. You just told me, you gave me good intel. You told me you don't like me. And number two, you told me you don't know why. But that person, in their honesty, right, it allowed me to decide how I wanted to continue a relationship with them in proximity or not moving forward. And that person worked on the fact that they didn't know why they liked me. They kept working on themselves in that area to the point now where we're okay. They don't have to like me. They have come to like me, but they recognize that it was something within themselves. And how many times do people not recognize that they are the issue? They try to make you the issue. They try to
Mm-hmm.
project it onto you and say you don't like them. I didn't even know her. I had just met her. But she was willing to work on how she was feeling. And then we finally got to the bottom of how she was feeling, because it turned out some of the same things that happened to her traumatically in her childhood, the same exact things had happened to me. And so what she was feeling a familiarity of trauma, but there was no words for it because we didn't know each other enough to get to the words part.
Mm-hmm.
So what she was feeling a connection, but it was tied to our own separate histories around trauma. And when we finally got to that part, I said, "Oh, that's what it is." And we've been cool ever since. But imagine if she would have just held on to that negative feeling and never interrogated it. We wouldn't have known that that's what it was. Let's see. Do 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 do. Shantae, you are so right. Health is the goal. You look great. Thank you. Hey, in the Bahamas, meat having meat on your bones is considered beautiful. Yeah, there are certain places in the world that women with big hips, with wide hips, is a thing. There are certain places in the world that having this gap in your teeth is a sign of beauty. There are certain places in the world where having this big old huge forehead that I got is a sign of beauty. All right. So I say go to where your beauty is appreciated. Go to where your beauty is appreciated. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not beautiful. I learned that people are either attracted to your divine light or repelled by it. Now that is the show enough truth. Y'all is preaching on here today. But guess what? We are out of time. Oh my goodness. We're out of time. Pastor Ben, close us out. Final thoughts. Cause
Yes.
they've preached all over here. Let me read this one
Yes,
last
they
comment.
did.
You do.
Yes, they
Yes.
did.
Sometimes
I'm,
those
I'm,
who have
I'm,
not healed may not be ready to understand that you have healed. It is so good that we are women of God and we can offer grace and have discernment. Yes, I did not hold it against her that she came to me and said, listen, I don't like you and I don't know why I don't like you. I accepted that. I accepted that. I gave her grace. I gave her space. And I said, I have nothing against you. I don't know you. I don't know you. I have nothing against you. But thank you for letting me know. And all I can say is I'm going to continue to be me. Try to get to know me. And if you appreciate me after you start getting to know me, you start hearing me, you start looking at my actions. I'm a very transparent person. You can judge me. It's okay. You can judge me, but make sure it's a righteous judgment.
mm-hmm.
That's all I ask. Make sure your judgment of me is righteous. Make sure you're not just going off of hearsay. Make sure you're looking at the evidence in front of you. Have I harmed you? Have I done you wrong? Have I lied to you or about you or on you? Am I consistently who I say I am all the time in real life, on the screen? Judge those things and make sure you're judging me righteously. Don't go by hearsay. Go by your personal experience and interaction with me. And I'm very thankful to say that I can say now, 14 years later, that I have a good relationship with her. We're not the best of friends, but she was able to see, okay, there's something deeper here that's going on with me. Let me address that thing. And now I can have a relationship, a acquaintanceship with this person. Um, I love your live streams. Gives me a real lift. Thank you. Glad that this has been a real lift for you today. Asking if their judgment is righteous, getting to the root of the matter. Yes. All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for participating and sharing your thoughts today. This was such a enriching conversation because you all offered your dialogue to it. Pastor Ben, close us out for us, please.
Okay,
Your final thoughts.
I'm going to close out with one of the last things you were talking about concerning money
Mm-hmm.
and where we're going, where we are now with this administration
Mm-hmm.
that keeps lying and saying that it's a Democratic Party. It's the reason why uh, the SNAP has been stopped when it's never been stopped during a shutdown, which is actually illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And judges have told him that.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, he defies the law.
Yes, they've been ordered to pay and release it today, and they have now gone back as of this morning to appeal that decision and complain that the judge was beyond their authority. So we're going to see how that plays out today.
hmm Yeah. But here's what's crazy. People actually believe their lies.
Yeah, unfortunately,
And
yes.
when all you got to do is look at history. So, but as you said though, we have to plan. We have to save extra because we
Keep your
don't know.
where we're headed in a couple of years. Oh, and I want to
you're going out of
they have to win in 2020.
you're
How
going
about now?
you're going out a little bit. Go ahead.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Mike Johnson says that Republicans have to win in 2026 because if they don't, the guy 45, 47 will be impeached by the evil Democratic Party. He's the one with 34 felony charges, convictions.
Which means the American people have to win in 2026.
Exactly. And as I've been telling many people, it wasn't just Democrats that voted in these recent elections where Democrats won.
Mm-hmm.
You had independents and Republicans
Mm-hmm.
voting for the Democrats
Their
because their
eyes are
eyes are
open.
open.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which is
See,
good.
but
See, but they're
to
not going to
address that.
address that.
Which is good. And I'm
Yeah.
so thankful that people are waking up. I am very, very thankful that people are waking up. Some of us have been awake, but I'm not
hmm
going to knock anybody that has now awakened and is now doing what is necessary to remove people out of power who should have never been in power.
hmm
And on that note, I want to thank you all for your time and attention today. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles, along with Pastor Ben, are joining us as our co-host today. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to evil. So go out and be what?
Light.
Light. Take care, everyone. Be well, and most importantly, be light. This broadcast will be up probably by tomorrow morning. It's taking them about 24 hours for them to process our videos because YouTube in the background is looking and listening to every single word we say to make sure it can be on their platform. All right. So thank you all for your patience with these videos going to the final production space and then being made public. We do appreciate your patience in that. Take care, everyone. Be well, and most importantly, be light.